Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one starfish or one person at a time. As always, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I'm excited for our special guest today, Josh. Josh and I met through Arte, and he's a family guy. He's a leadership and business consultant, coach, speaker, all kinds of different avenues. So this could go anywhere, but I know you guys will get a lot of value from it. So thanks for being on today, Josh.
You're very welcome. So happy to see you, my friend. Spend some time this morning.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what got you down, I don't know, whichever line you want to go down, leadership, business consulting. You're doing like a resort or something you're building. I don't know. Just tell us more.
So leadership has been something that's always been in my kind of DNA blood. My father was a business owner and is now retired and sold a couple different businesses and avenues. I got first involved with leadership in sports and really found a knack in that as I got into my professional career. Is that where I found the most joy was seeing others succeed, and instead of just building my own thing. So of course I was having fun, and I'm very competitive and building my own thing in the financial services world. That's where I really started to kick off both my career as well as my leadership abilities. And but as I recruited and developed people, I really got a lot of juice from that. I really enjoyed seeing others succeed, and even people that kind of blew right past me. I was never once envious. I was just proud. And so when I saw that and felt that is really when I felt like that leadership was part of my calling. And so from there, it just blossomed into this thing where I just love pouring into others, and whether that's having an impact speaking and they just hear me one time, or if I can pour into someone on a weekly basis or a monthly basis in a coaching relationship, love it. I wouldn't trade any profession in the world for what I do currently.
That's so awesome. So, I mean, leadership is a broad spectrum, I guess you could say. And I mean, we could dive into that forever, but let's dive into it a bit anyway. So what do you think makes someone a good leader? What are some traits that you look for if you're, quote, people are like, I don't believe that leadership, you're born, it's made. So what are some traits that you kind of look for if you were looking for a leader?
Yeah, so my number one core value is integrity. And I think that is one of the, if not the crux of leadership, is doing what you say you're going to do, doing what you say you're going to do, even when no one's watching. But also having the dichotomy and realization that everyone's always watching. As a leader, you're always going to be in the spotlight. You're always going to have a target on your back, and you have to perform under those situations, under duress, under stress, no matter what. So I think that integrity, if you have that at the crux of everything, is going to drive some of your best decisions. And when you don't have integrity, it'll drive you to some of your worst decisions.
That totally makes sense. And listening to that now, some people are listening to this and they're like, but I'm not a leader. I've got no, quote, followers. What are your thoughts on that?
Dude, that's such a good question, because I've heard that so often. First of all, there's a book out there, and it's been said as a quote that leadership is not a title. Leadership, as John Maxwell puts it, is influence. So I'll just give you a great example. So so I did 75 hard at the beginning of this year. It was my first time doing it. Before then, I've always been in good shape, and I never really saw a reason to do it because I was always working out, eating fairly healthy. And then as I rounded this year and went through some stuff last year, personally and professionally, I was like, you know what? I really need a hard mental reset. So I'm going to do 75 hard. And I just was posting my daily, checklist that I did it. Hey, day 1 complete, day 2 complete, all the way up to 75. What I didn't realize was how many people were watching. I've now had 35 people in my network reach out to me and said that I inspired them to do 75 hard. And some of them have already completed it, and some of them are in their journey right now. I had a friend that came up to play golf yesterday from Chicago. I didn't even know he was doing it, and he was on day 74 yesterday. So today's his 75th day. And he was telling me the cool things that have happened to his business, and then his wife's career as well since he's done it. And he's like, there's no way that I would have been able to have the success I've had in the last couple months without being crystal clear, focused, not drinking, on my A game without having done this. So he just like, I thank you. So I bring that example to people to say, like, people are always watching, and especially in the social media world, like whether you're a leader of your friend group, whether you are a mom or a dad, or even just a brother or sister, like, you are always leading, even in just little small circles, whether or not you have a positional title as business owner or manager or anything else, you are always a leader.
And so, and I agree with that 100%. I know when I was 75 hard, I had a lot of people that copied too, and it was a powerful. It is a powerful program, and it's free, so there's that.
Yeah.
It's a good cheap way to get a lot of things happening. But so if someone says like, okay, that's great, but people don't want to be a leader. Now this is something else I hear, and I'm sure you've heard, like, man, that sounds like a lot of responsibility. That sounds like a lot of work. Why would anyone want to be a leader?
That's a fair question. I don't know that you can control that. I think you'd have to work pretty hard to not be a leader, actually. Now, you can choose to stay, like I've had many friends, and I'm sure you have as well, being in the business that you're in, just choose to stay in sales versus going into a management route, because either the income potential is greater, or they're just having more fun and they love sales and they don't want to manage people. I can understand that. But as far as you not wanting to be a leader, you'd actually have to be and work pretty hard to not be a leader. Because again, in those small circles that you have in your life, whether it be your friend group, your small family, or just the people in your social network, you're going to lead and influence in some way, shape, or form. So for you to actively try to not lead, you'd essentially live a hermit lifestyle.
That's totally
and I don't
true.
know that that's fun for anyone.
That's totally true. So basically, you're a leader whether you like it or not. The choice is, what kind of leader do you want to be? And what are some things that you would give for a tip for leaders that are on here and they want to be leaders, but they're just drained? Like, some days are hard. It's hard being a leader all the time. It's hard being watched all the time. It's a lot of responsibility. What are some things that either you've done or you've coached other people to do, I guess, to refill their bucket so that they can be the best leader they can be?
So that's really important. We have a huge responsibility and weight on our shoulders as leaders. As you just mentioned with the previous question, is not everyone wants that. So you really have to take care of you. So a lot of times we get stuck in this dichotomy of we don't put ourselves first because we feel like that's selfish. When in fact, it's actually selfless to put yourself first, to make sure that you can be the person and the leader that you need to be for your family, for your people that you're leading, and for anyone else that may be following you. So taking care of number one is number one. So you have to have a great morning routine, have a great nightly routine, making sure that when you take vacation, here's a key. I see a lot of people take vacation to escape their life, and they don't actually come back recharged and rejuvenated. You have to go on vacation on purpose and make sure that you come back recharged and rejuvenated. Otherwise, you're not doing vacation right.
Give me an example of that. That's a really good one. I like that.
So for when I was in the financial service world, I would tell my advisors and even myself, like when I was in personal practice, that, hey, before you go on vacation, have an extremely busy week. And on the week you come back, make sure that it's an extremely busy week, so you don't feel any guilt or pressure about having to work on vacation, because that time is for you to recharge. So when you go on vacation, you say, I want to do these three things. And I like three things because then it's not a huge long list, but it's like, one, I want to read this book. Two, I want to spend and do these activities with my kids. And three, I want to reconnect with my wife. And just that week. And if you can do those three things, you feel accomplished, because I imagine most people that listen to your show are actually achievers and want to live a better life. So if they're doing that, they're doing a vacation on purpose, much like they do life on purpose. And so when you come back, now your calendar's full. Now, not everything's going to go perfectly, right? You're going to get hit with, a proverbial shitstorm as you come back with barrage of emails, and this went wrong and that went wrong. but you're now mentally prepared to handle it because you came back recharged. Another quick example is don't schedule your flights so that, or it could get delayed and all of a sudden you have a late Sunday night and you got to be at the office at 6 a.m. Right. So now your sleep schedule's off and now you're not coming back Monday, your A+ self. So give yourself a day of buffer room in between those flights as well. So I would say two quick things there. Go with an intention of accomplishing three things that rejuvenate and recharge you. And two, give yourself some buffer room on the backside of that vacation to make sure that you can come in Monday or whatever day it is, fully charged.
That's really good. And I think that's how I actually do my trips. Interestingly enough, I just not conscious of it. So I love that you put it into something tangible that people can be like, oh, I can do that kind of thing. That's really cool. And you said you have a really solid morning and night routine. So for you, what's your morning routine? And then also what's your night routine? I feel like some people don't have night routines. So I'm curious about that.
Nightly routines are just as important as morning routines, but we'll start with the morning. So morning, I get up at 5:04 a.m. I have this thing with the number 9. It was my football number, American football, for those that may be watching across seas or whatever. That was my football number in high school and college. So I have this thing with number 9. So any alarm I set adds up to number 9. So 5:04 is my wake up time.
I like it.
And so that being said, then I get up, brush my teeth, do the bathroom stuff, go straight downstairs. I hydrate. So I do a water with lemon and local honey. For anyone with allergies, doing local honey, a tablespoon in your heated water, as well as some lemon. There's some really positive body effects that can happen with, and some people will add a tablespoon or a teaspoon of sea salt to that as well. But I've seen a lot of health studies on that, the benefits that it has in your body early in the morning on an empty stomach. I get the coffee brewing. I do some Wim Hof breathing exercises. That takes about 15 minutes. Then I get into reading, either reading the Bible or reading something motivational, something nonfiction. One hard and fast rule I have for the morning: no technology.
Good.
So my morning routine has to be done, and I have to be winning my day and my mind fully set before I get on my phone. So no social media, no emails. The thing about emails is, like, it could be a good email or a bad email. It's like Russian roulette with your emails. And if your mind's not ready for war that day, that could set your day completely behind. So it's a hard and fast rule: no email check, no social media check, until I'm fully ready to embrace the day. So then I'll get into, after the reading, get into coffee or something else. I'm actually a later workout guy. So when I was doing 75 hard, my outdoor workout was usually around lunchtime, and late afternoon was or early evening was my indoor workout. But that's my morning routine, is really. And then I did, during the school year, I got to get the kids ready for school and all that. So if you have kids, that's really important to wake up early, because that's the only quiet time I have during the day.
Right.
From that 5 to 6:30 window, I have an hour and a half of quiet time. I have 4 kids and 3 dogs. Those dogs are locked in their room, and the kids are up sleeping while I take care of getting myself ready for the day.
That's really good. And then what's your nighttime routine?
So nightly routine starts with getting the kids to bed, because nothing's getting done while they're awake. It's obviously time I want to spend with them, but then also getting them to have a little routine as well. Try to get them to read, or I'll read a little bit to them, but they're getting to that age where screen time is important to them. So they're on devices for a few minutes at bed, right before bedtime. And then for me, it's getting into a little bit of reading. I will do some visualization of my next day. If it's a Friday, I'll look at the next week or the weekend if I want to do anything on purpose. But really, it's a little bit of reading, a little bit of visioning the next day. One of the really important things to do in your day, I forgot to mention in the morning, is read your vision statement and your purpose statements in the morning, and read it right before bed. So it's the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you think about before going to bed. And there is I have time with my wife and go to sleep.
That's cool. I love it. And like I said, a lot of people don't have that. Now I'm curious, there's a lot of, I know a lot of moms and obviously dads that are, high achievers. And one of the things I hear a lot, and I don't have kids, so maybe speak on this. How has it been like being a high achiever, wanting to do it all, but your family, I know, comes first for you, faith, family, and your business kind of thing. So what are some tips that you would give someone that's like, I just feel like I'm leaving my family behind, or I feel like, and then I can, and they feel guilty and all that kind of stuff. What are some things that helped you deal with maybe, I don't know, dad guilt, I guess you could call it,
Yeah.
as your kids grow up?
So we all face that, right? And I think what it comes down to is not doing what you say you're going to do. So it still comes back to that integrity. So what I find is people end up on the spiral of they didn't get what they needed to do done during the workday. So then they feel bad at home that they didn't get these commitments done that they said they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they're not as present with their kids that night or with their spouse that night. And then in the morning, they feel guilty about not spending the time with their kids and or their spouse. And so then they're unproductive during the workday, and it just ends up in this loop of just perpetual shame and guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So the most important thing for me was always taking care of my critical tasks. If I took care of my critical tasks, again, if I go back to early in my financial planning career, is I had to set 5 meetings per day. I had to get 5 referrals per day. And if I did that, if I did those 2 main things, then I could feel good about my day. Now I had a bunch of other stuff down the list, but those were the 2 most important things.
I like that.
So those priorities were taken care of, and then I can move on with my day, so that I didn't put myself in that shame and guilt cycle, because I wanted to teach others that as well. Now, when you're at home, quality time over quantity time. So that's the most important thing, is no matter how you slice it, when the kids are in school, when you're at work, the day is not going to be even. So the fact that people talk about work-life balance indicates a 50-50 time. It never happens. And so then you're automatically shaming yourself for having or not having that 50-50 time when it's a false reality anyhow. So it's really, really important that you focus on the quality of your time. So one of the things I didn't mention when I put the kids to bed, and I have 3 girls and a little boy, it's really important to me that I raise these girls with really, really strong self-esteem. And so I do these I don't read them actually. I have them read them. I have these affirmation cards I got off Amazon. They're like $15 and there's like 100 of them. And it may say something to the fact that I am beautiful. And then on the back will be 3 questions that say, why do I think I'm beautiful? What is the, when do I feel most beautiful? And it won't be necessarily, and beautiful can be taken in a vain way, but it may be like, I am smart. It may be like really simple things, but I want them to start visualizing and being able to verbalize these things to themselves. There was one, my 10-year-old, it might've been the beautiful card, that she had, on one of the questions, didn't have a really great answer, actually, like kind of self-deprecating answer. And I'm like, well, do you think we should work on this one, honey? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, where can we put this card so it's a reminder to you to work on this one? And she put it in her vanity, like in the corner of her vanity mirror, so that when she's sitting there, that she could see that, right? So like, there's these little things that you can do, like those that may take 5 minutes at bedtime, but it is so valuable, those 5 minutes. Or maybe my car ride. I've always, whether I was owning a business that had 250 employees that I was responsible for, or just one employee that I was responsible for, I always took the time to take my kids to school. It's a 12-minute drive, but we get to listen to their favorite songs. We have a little bit of conversation, and it brightens my day, and hopefully it brightens theirs. And then when I give them a hug and I go to class, I don't tell my girls to be good, because that starts a narrative for little girls that they have to be good or be perfect. What I say to them is, be a leader and spread your sunshine. And I love you. And then I leave. And I, like, some parents will just drop their kids off and go. I always walk my kids in. Now, some of that is I have a young one that's going into preschool that I have to walk in, but the girls, even on the days that he doesn't go, the girls I could just drop off, but I always walk in, give them a hug and a kiss and say those things and exit. So it's just those little moments that you focus on as a parent that are like really meaningful. And those are really quality time moments that don't take a ton of time. But I know that they impact my day in such a positive way. And I know they impact the kids in such a positive way.
Oh, so good. Be a leader and spread your sunshine, to write that down.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. Yeah. Cause I know that we say that like be good or whatever. And yeah, it starts to, you're right, change the narrative of how they think deeper
yeah,
subconsciously.
yeah.
And that's really important. What's one word, what, not one word, but like, what's a couple steps that you would say if someone's like, okay, this sounds awesome. I want to be a leader. I want to step up. I want to be more. What are some things, if you remember back to when you got into that really inspired you, some books you read or something you listened to, or something that kind of like made you step up your game for maybe, just whatever you were kind of doing before to really stepping into that leadership role?
Well, I think reading anything John Maxwell has written will make you feel insecure as a leader. I mean, honestly, talk about the OG of leadership, and really in Jim Rohn, same thing. Some of these just guys with just this depth of wisdom that as a young leader, or even as I'm not even young anymore. So it's like just even someone that's had 20 years in leadership, I still feel insecure as a leader when I read something from John Maxwell. But again, he's been at it for 50, years plus now, I think. So, I mean, there's just time that comes with that and experience that comes with that. But so anything John Maxwell related, anything Jim Rohn related. My first like personal development book that I ever read was Think and Grow Rich. And I think that's a book to not just read, but to study. Like to actually, like how often, because I think a lot of times high achievers, and I've caught myself in this in the past as well, maybe you have as well, Angela, but where we read to read, like to check that off, like, oh yeah, I read that book. But like some books you can do that with. And I think especially like autobiographies, I think Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights, was a really good book. And there's some invaluable lessons in there. I listened to that one partly because he's got a great voice and
It does.
it's just soothing, right?
Yeah.
So you can listen to that. But like Think and Grow Rich and some of these timeless classics are books to be studied and really extract lessons through chapter by chapter. Principles by Ray Dalio is another one to be studied. That's a big book.
Big book.
So you can get the cliff notes, but either way, it's a book to go back to chapter by chapter. If you're building a company, if you want to be a better leader, these foundational principles that you stick by, just unbelievable lessons in that book to be had.
That's awesome. Those are really good books, highly recommended. And Think and Grow Rich, I need to go back and probably study it. I remember the first time I read it, I was like, I don't even know what I read. And then I read Napoleon Hill, The Law of Success. I don't know if you've read that one. It's also quite a thick book. And I honestly got through it. I have no idea what I read. And it was funny because now I'm going back and I'm reading some of the stuff and I'm like, oh, now I get it. Because as you read more, you're like, understand more. So
do you take any connotation or any offense to how they were written because they were written so back then, and didn't they refer to man versus woman?
No, none.
Yeah, you just read it as it is. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no.
Because they are old school and they are sexist because it was a man's world at that time, but it's applicable to everyone.
Yeah, I've been in the guys world so much of my life. I don't take anything personal. So that way it's like, whatever. They're like, hey guys, get over here. Yeah, that includes me. Like, yeah.
Guys, gals, whatever, get over here.
Yeah. I mean, we could just change it and start calling everyone gals and it'd be a whole different ballgame. Anyway, that's a whole different ballgame. So, we're in a time that leadership is needed more than ever. We have a countries, both in Canada and the US, that are really struggling, I believe, and really needing leaders to step up. If you ran into someone at the coffee shop, and was there something, kind of in wrapping up here, was there something that we didn't touch on that you think, man, they're just like, I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact, but like, who am I? I work at Walmart, or like, it doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? And they're just like, I want to make a difference. What would you tell them where to really start to make an impact, and how they could believe in themselves that they could make an impact?
So I think two different things there, because you touched on the kind of the political spectrum that both our countries are in first. I think I can answer the other part of that more quickly. First, for the young leader is care more about others than yourself. And if you do that and you focus on having an impact on others, your reach and your influence is going to spread. So continue to get better yourself, like read those books. and really be able to talk about those principles with others in your network, and just strive for personal excellence, as well as bringing others with you, like reaching down and pulling others up. Like that is how you can really influence and really impact people in such a positive way. Like I know, because they've told me, how many people I've changed their lives, and given them a different career opportunity or a different financial trajectory than their families ever experienced before. Like, well, on my darkest days, I remember those conversations, because then that helps me keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to the first part of your question, which one thing we didn't cover as like another part of leadership, like traits, the one thing that I wish all politicians, and this is bipartisan, would strive more for is humility and vulnerability.
Mm.
When is the last time we've heard a politician in either the US or Canada, and I don't know Canadian politics as well, but certainly in the US, admit to a mistake?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, with COVID, we locked down the country for X amount of time, and we realized that was actually too long. We really screwed up. We cost the country hundreds of thousands of small businesses and ruined hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of lives.
Mm-hmm.
We screwed up, and we're sorry. And here's how we're going to do it better going forward. You ever heard a politician say that?
No, they don't. They don't do that very often.
No.
I haven't heard that in a long time. I'm sure maybe in the old days we had some good people like Abraham Lincoln. I'm going way back. I'm sure we had some people that might have been like that fess up, but yes, definitely not anymore.
So as a leader, but your humility and your vulnerability, that's where people connect to you. It's through your failures, it's through your mistakes, it's through times of adversity that people really connect to you, not through your triumphs. Mm-hmm. Because everyone screws up, everyone is human, and when you fall down or when you fail, it reminds the person following you that, oh yeah, you're human too. And as they see you climb back up, as they see you atone for any mistakes that you made and make it right, or as you admit to some of those mistakes or failures, they really connect to you and really will follow you at a deeper level. So I would love to see humility and vulnerability come back to being a popular thing, especially with men. Mm-hmm. It's just, I think women do that easier. Men, as we talked a little bit about the messaging. I tried with my little girls to not be good. I think there's messaging with little boys that we need to fix as well. Like I was raised to not cry. I was raised to rub dirt on it and be tough. And that was my job or my role as a man. It's also my role to show vulnerability as a man. Mm-hmm. It is my role to show my children and the people that follow me that I can cry when I'm hurt and I can verbalize when I'm hurting, because that again makes me human. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see that more from our leaders in politics and business leaders in general.
That's so good. That's so good. Yes. Be out there and be vulnerable and be open. That's just a really good message for everybody out there. So wrapping up, few final questions. I always have 3 final questions that I ask all of our podcast people. So if you have someone out there that's looking for their purpose and they're like, man, I want to find your purpose. It sounds like you found your purpose. What is one sentence that you might say to help them?
One sentence.
Or one thought.
One thought is action. Like you move through it. It's very rare that you're going to go to a university and be like, yep, found my purpose. Like how many people go to university or school anymore and that's what the degree they got is what they come out of school with or go to work with. Mm-hmm. Very, very few. Or if they do it, it's for a couple of years, realize they hate it and move on to something else. Mm-hmm. But you need to continue to act. That's why the book, The Secret, never resonated with me, because it failed a call to action. Mm-hmm. Yes, positive thinking is good, but you have to act. So you have to move through things. So like, don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid to fail. There you go. There's my sentence. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. Because through that failure, you'll discover your purpose.
I like that. That's awesome. What number 2 question, and it might not be your favorite, but your favorite right now that comes to mind. What's your favorite quote and why?
Man, I have so many quotes. That's a hard one. Let's go to the next question. I'll think about it.
Okay, number 3 is, what's one word or sentence you would want on your gravestone?
Something to the effect that, here lies Josh. It's like that epic crypt, right? Here lies Josh. Like 100% used up. And that sounds like really weird, but like, it's like, no, I gave it the gas my whole life, in every facet, from fitness to nutrition to my physical being, my financial being, my mental and spiritual being. Like, I gave it, and I came in just rolled up in a ball of dirt, just used up.
That's good. And back to favorite quote. Which one did you come up with? Or give a couple. It's all good.
Yeah, I think that I'm actually bad with the quotes right now.
When you're called on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, like I need a car, and like all these cars shoot up. I got like 50 quotes rolling through my head, so not narrowing down on one. But I'll give you an affirmation.
Sure.
Is one of the things I repeat to myself in the morning, and I have like these 8 affirmations that I'll give myself. But one of them that I'll give you is that I am a leader. It's not something that I do, it's who I am. And so I think that's just something that people can resonate with, is like, every one of us as leaders, as we talked about earlier. And one of my other affirmations that I'll repeat in the morning is that I am a righteous man. The world will be better because I serve God today. The world will be a better place because I serve God today. So those are just a couple of things that came to mind as, again, we're doing this in the morning. So probably my affirmations are on top of my head more than any quotes that came to head.
That's awesome. But I love it. Those are such good affirmations. Yeah, very good. Affirmations are super, super positive. As always, listeners, make sure, and watchers, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share. Let's get these words out. This was so much gold from Josh today. And we can change one person's life at a time. We can start to make a difference and change the world. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, Josh.
Thanks for having me, Angela. It was a lot of fun.